also find that Chris and I've been doing some research on Gathercoal's Judicious discipline. So the first thing I want to talk about is why do we have this? The foundation is to support the first, fourth, and the 14th Amendment. And this is to balance individuals' rights. Now, what exactly is the First Amendment? So the First Amendment is rights of religion, the fourth one is freedom of speech, and then the 14th is freedom of press. Talking about, permitting people to, not to be refused to pursue. So it's to provide security on that fourth one. And then the 14th Amendment is more about equal protection for each. Gathercoal's judicious discipline comes from Forrest Gathercoal. This is the man who created this discipline. He is known as the father of judicious discipline. He was born in Illinois on May 26, 1932. He passed away. I don't remember, but he passed. Now, as far as his accomplishments, he was in war, and also he was in Amarillo, based in Texas. And so he did receive a degree for, he did teach and coach for tennis and then also golf. He did receive another degree, and that was in jurisprudence degree, and that's from the University of Oregon School of Law. He has several other accomplishments. He worked at a few different schools and also taught at the Oregon School of Education. He also did write a book for Gathercoal's judicious discipline, and that goes into further detail on how to use this discipline and actually apply it.
Robert.
Just one moment. Let me double check something. Okay. I just want to go my pictures. So, the next point I wanted to make is the peaceful classroom. So, us as teachers have to know how to manage a situation if it is the right place, and also if the behavior needs attention or if it can wait. The student has to know that they have also a responsibility for themselves as far as their actions, result, and consequences. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. It will also reduce interruptions during class. It's a definite positive thing because this discipline helps the learning process, able to flow and not like I already mentioned, teachers need to be aware of the time and behaviorism. So as far as the time goes, for example, I'm sure I'll mention this again, but an example of this is that the student during class. So for the teacher, we have to say that they're for their education or for others involved, in the classroom. So we do have to have a responsibility to pick up the student and try to get their attention. And there's something that has to be addressed. We can do that one-on-one later. We have to also look out for the concerns of other students. There are other things that I'll discuss on this related to that topic. As far as the place goes, if there's someone that is slow close, by, and you have to handle that in the hall, or possibly you will have to call for help. Sometimes that includes, leaving situation somewhere else. The behavior depends on the student, and also if they're disruptive with other students, and how you can solve that problem. So you really have to take into consideration all of those factors as a teacher. Go ahead and continue. Like I just mentioned, teachers do have to take into account of the place, the time, the behavior, like the example I just gave about the child sleeping in class. It could also be that a child refuses to do their work, or there's a fight, physical fight in class, and so there's other factors that you have to think about as a teacher. Also, in the court, they talk about this promoting our welfare and also interests of the state. So there's 4 different things here which involves private property and damage. The second one is legitimate education purposes. The third one is the health, safety risk, and then the fourth one is serious disruptive behavior in the education process. Now, the responsibility is for the teacher and the student, but more specifically, it talks about allowing the student to be aware that they also have a responsibility in this. Why we do that, why we have to follow rules. That way we can have a productive, smooth flowing classroom. For example, you don't want to damage the property, and your hands belong to yourself. Don't hurt others. And it's not just the student themselves, but all students have a right to learn and access to education. So if you're doing something that would distract the other students, it would be fair. A few opinions regarding this model. I do think this is a really good discipline because it gives teachers more ideas on how to manage their classroom. So if a teacher doesn't have any idea how to manage the classroom, then how can the students have a productive learning environment? How will the teacher be able to teach effectively? The second opinion I have is this is also a good way to show teachers how to handle different types of situations when a student is respectful, when the student is not doing what they're supposed to do. And this will give the teacher obviously. These are my references. Thank you so much for watching. I learned something from this model. Thank you.